Yo, what's up, YouTubers? What they say that deal? This one's for the boys. I want you to go in there and look at your kids. I want you to go in there and look at your kid. It's freaking 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. 4:57. I've been working for 3 hours and 16 minutes. I want you to go into your kid's room while they are asleep and look at them. They're just laying there asleep. Do you feel that love, that joy? That I would do anything to protect? Oh man, there's so many parental emotions. And I want you to know, man, like, bro, my son died, dude. He freaking died, man. He's gone. He's gone, bro. I didn't read that Bible because I'm afraid of hell. I'm too stupid for that. Like, I don't think I'm going. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to hell. I think I deserve to hell. I honestly don't think I'm gonna go to hell. And just kind of always been that way. I don't know. I'd hear about it and be like, okay, whatever. I hope you avoid it because I don't think that's going to happen to me. Through study, I figured out I was intensely qualified to burn in hell because I have told a lie one time. Okay. So I'm reading this deal with an intensity because I'm like, this is either real or it's not. How can I tell if anything's real? Test and see. And always been pretty skeptical. And you know, the world will burn you like that. You know, you hear stuff about these slick people in the city and how smart they are and all that. There's a different type out in the woods. And there's a long section there that they called Oklahoma no man's land. So if you was on the run from the law, you always hear about, oh man, they'll rob a bank and go to Mexico. Well, 100 years ago, they was go to the Indian Territory. And there was a lot of rough stuff. And there was like Comanche Indians, if you went far enough. The 5 civilized tribes, a bunch of boys, they didn't catch that part about civilized, and they done walked from the East Coast and watched a lot of their kinfolk die trying. They call that the Trail of Tears. Now my folks, you know, being Vietnam era, yeah, mom was a runaway flower child. Dad was, you know, Green Beret, or no, Tunnel Rat. And the uncle, he was Green Beret. With all the stories from all 3 of them, all the stories from the Indians, kind of come along the lines of, you know, the government's fucked up. And then you got the Bible. And it's like, God killed his son so you don't have to go to hell. What? You know what I mean? So I'm just like, whatever. Man, go to church, hear the gospel, and I'm like, I'll do whatever I want just for repent on my deathbed. You know, because that's the way a criminal thinks. So the, you know, obviously that ain't, it's not exactly the way it went down, or why. And later on, much later on, when my son died, I actually read the Bible because I just wanted to see my son. You don't know how good you got it be able to just walk in there and just lay eyes on your boy. Just check to see if he's all right, you know, or take him fishing, or you know, play ball out in the backyard, toss around the old pigskin, whatever. Well, in my hour of need, I had some experiences which took away my doubt to a certain degree. And as I read a lot in my 20s, I had a lot of free time off and on in the old concrete box. And I just kept seeing all these things, and I kept realizing, hey, I'm a little more qualified for this deal than I thought. And the things it was saying was crystal clear to me, because he had blessed me. And I think I have an understanding. They say a childlike faith. I heard a guy recently talk about reading the Bible, and the Holy Ghost will let you know what's up because you're young and everything like that. Like when we're young, we learn faster anyway. So there's a scientific thing about that. We're coming up on the Bexy check. Inspection station. Well, they only got one freaking door open. Well, anyways, yeah, it's just stop in the road because somebody, you know, doesn't have a license. That's great. When you stop in the middle of the road, always watch behind you and make sure nobody's going to hit you. That seems to be, you know, I want to roll forward and get out of the way. Little sleet comes cooking down through here about 60. Anyway, so I'm laying in jail, man, and I'm reading this Bible and everything, and I'm understanding it. And I've had quite a bit of understanding since I was little. And I was like, man, this is real or it's not. And I just look at, man, I just wanted to know, and I wanted to be able to see my son again. And I read it there, it said, it is God's will that none shall perish. And over and over and over, there's all these stories about mercy. And how he's so willing. He is so very willing to do what it takes to let you back into the fold. To open the door and say, come on home. Come on home. It's okay. You know, you did some stuff. You need to get right. Knock it off. Come on. Knock it off. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. And then once you get to know a thing or two, you've been there, you've done that, and you know what it's going to take to get the others back to a state of redemption. And you start sharing that, you know. It's God's will that none shall perish, and those are His kids. So, you know, what's with this love that you got for yours? And then what about this love for them? How much does He love them? Look at this guy. He just thinks he's going to cut in front of everybody. Apparently he is going to cut in front of everybody. That's real cool. I guess he's just special for some reason. So what are you going to do when it's your turn? What are you going to do when God, who loves you that much, says, hey, will you go talk to my kids? Hey, will you go let them know? Hey, will you give me a shout out to them? Hey, will you sit with them on a hard day? That Bible says, when you do it for the least of these, you're doing it for Jesus himself. You're doing that for Jesus. What is this deal where God made it to where an average person can reach out on behalf of the Creator to the Creator's children? And Jesus died 2,000 years ago, but I can help him today. What are you going to do with that knowledge? What are you going to do with that? And if you don't, like, what are you then? What's up, man? Yeah.
Anyone else in me today?
No.
That's it.
Do you know what Jesus' blood type is?
I don't know, but he's God.
Be positive.
Yes, sir.
He did not want to hear it. He said, I don't know, but he's God. That's the part people don't understand about these Mexicans down here. The Texicans are just about all Christian. And they're meek. So that's the big question, man. Like, go in there, see your kids. Now, what happened if somebody just abducted your kids and they're gone? If you call Billy and Earl and Ralph and the state police, FBI, CIA, nobody can find your kids. You call me up and you say, Skip, they got my kids. I'm like, dude, I'll go get them. Call you in about an hour. Say, man, I know where they're at. I'm going to go get them. Flying out. Next day I call you. Hey, meet me at the airport. I got your kids. I'll be there in an hour. Meet me down there. An hour later, you're standing there at the escalator. You see your kids. They start coming down the steps. You run to them. They run to you. You give them a big old hug. At that moment, how do you feel? How would you feel about me? That's exactly how God feels when you share the gospel with somebody. You are bringing home God's redeemed children to their dad. You got a better story than that, I'm all ears. So when you go to work today, it says do all your work as if you're doing it for the Lord himself. So whatever you're doing, it don't matter what you're doing. Well, it's indifferent as to your calling and specific purpose. In the going, grow into an evangelism that is genuine. The way only you can say it. You have to sell this thing because you know it's true, and it needs to be in your words that are spoken coming out of your mouth to these people. And the more it's a little bit uniquely not perfect, the better. That's even better. You know what I mean? Because that'll keep you humble, right? So you can't be scared. I'd be like, oh, well, what if they think I'm a weirdo talking about Jesus all the time? You can't do that. You can't do that. These people's soul is on the line. That's God's child. The devil is trying to kill him, steal, destroy. Bro, I've never heard of a more noble mission ever. Ever. I've seen things, I've been places. I can list off stuff that I have lived through that would blow your socks off. You would not believe me, and I guarantee you, the things I have seen in pursuit of doing God's will is fantastic. It's amazing. There's a reason they call it supernatural. Like, go outside, you see the trees growing? They do that naturally. And sometimes they get real big. You know what I mean? The circle of life. The fungus in the dirt, allowing the forest to have a neural network so that if there's a fire on the east side, the west side puts up their sap, getting ready for the fire as they try to not die. Speaking kind words to ice cubes and freezing them. Speaking mean words to ice cubes and freezing them. But realizing your voice has power. Super natural. It goes beyond understanding. And there's a peace that it brings. It's the anxiety blocker. It comes through reps and sets of reading the Bible and then walking in obedience. That's your go out there and do stuff. And in the process, keep your eye open to be like, here's a Bible. Here's a story about the Bible. You know what I mean? You got to get it in you so that it can come out. And I don't think I have some strategy to figure all this out. Because I don't. I think that he has a strategy because he does. And when you realize the whole Bugs Bunny effect, you know, hey, what's up, Doc? You know what I mean? When Jesus was here, he tricked the devil into killing him to save us. So, people say 3D chess or 4D chess, or I'm not sure exactly what they mean. There's multiple dimensions going on at the same time. So I want you to realize this. All the stuff that you got going on in your life, other people are dealing with that too. And God has the ability to be omnipresent, working through you into each one of these different things. And the more that the device can get you to confess lies, death, destruction, the more it's going to happen. And the more that you speak out the reality. Like, oh man, if the electricity goes out, what are we going to do? We're all going to die. No, probably not. Probably not. Like, human beings lived how long without electricity? How many years? I mean, if you go back to Alexander Graham Bell, like, when was he born? From there, going back to, 4000 BC, there's a pretty good swath of history where people did not have electricity. And it's one of the deals where if you look at it, you're like, oh man, that would suck. Okay, well, yeah, that probably suck, I guess. Yeah, all right. Yeah, things won't be as convenient. Okay. If that's what you're so worried about, like, move to the country and eat a lot of peaches. Like, start a vineyard or something. Grow your own food. If you're really that worried about it. Seriously. Like, no jokes, no puns, no nothing. For real. Go, get a job at somebody else's farm. Like, just live there with your wife and kids and enjoy it. Like, okay, wife and kids, we're going to pretend we don't have electricity and just live like that for a while. If you're really that worried about it, go ahead and do that. But if you're called to do something different, go ahead and do that too. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. But do all that you do in service to the Lord. The way that you're in service to the Lord is to redeem His lost children. That's a fact of business. That's the job. Don't get it twisted. That's the job. I don't care if you're shopping, at school, on the street, whatever. It does not matter. You need to be telling people what He has done for you. Do you know that you're going to heaven? Are you saved? Are your kids saved? Get that squared away. And then when you get a chance to be like, well, me and my family's going to heaven with Jesus. We're going to rule and reign on the new earth. What makes you so confident about that? Glad you asked. Who's this Bible? Oh, where are you at? Oh, it's dark in here. Can he find a Bible going 70 miles an hour? Driving in the dark with a freaking ELD shining in his face? Turn on some more lights. There it is. It was like an inch away from my fingers. Give him a Bible! Like, you got a Bible in your truck where you can be like, here you go. Here you go. You need a Bible? Oh, here's one right here. This is how I'm so confident. Here's my Bible. I can read it and have confidence in God, the one that created everything. How do I know that God loves me? Well, the Bible tells me so. Immediately comes to mind. And then I have consciousness, right? So you have consciousness. So I got like a 7-pound gray booger in between my ears. And as I flap my mouth and move my fingers, I'm communicating. And then the device is digitizing that and sending a radio signal to a tower, bounce, bleep, block, bloop. Save. You're accessing this, watching it. Your ears are hearing your little hammers rattling around. Your brain is interpreting those signals. You're seeing my hands. I don't know what to do with them, but you see them. There is body language. And your conscious is coherently comprehending the words coming out of my mouth. Okay? So we're just booger to booger on this deal, getting all boogered up, right? And our brains are... I'm taking thoughts out of my brain and placing them into yours. Just talking. On a phone. It's not connected to nothing. So the Bible says that the unseen realm controls what is seen. So my consciousness is guiding my body just like I'm driving a truck down the highway. And you're able to partake and be a part of that in the future, because I'm recording now. You're not here. You will be hearing this later. The Word become flesh. Okay? Now we're going to do this without an electronic device. You write the words down, and now I can read the Bible, take in the goodness, contemplate. It gets down to my heart, where I can repent. Then it gets down to my gut, and then I can evangelize, which is putting forth the river of living water. See what I'm saying? There's a tree of life, and the leaves are for the healing of the nations. This will heal you. It has sustenance. It has healing. It has hope, love, peace. Sometimes chicken grease. You never know. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all cocky right there. A cockerel is a male chicken, a male bird. Anyway. So there was Jesus all that time ago, and now you get to know about that. You get to bring all that in, fellowship with the Word. As every time something it stands out to you, tell somebody. If I have a discussion about how to balance a tire, or how many different tires there are, what's bead locks and what's a split rim, and Dayton wheels versus conventional, what are all these things used for? I'm getting tired just thinking about it. And the puns. Okay, you go back, you look at the Hebrew language, it had no vowels. It had no vowels. So you can get so many different perspectives from the words. So as you're reaching out, reaching up, reaching over, you can convey the real presence, the ever-present, the omnipresent, the gift present right here and now, even though it transcends time. So we can talk about the creation of the earth and the birth of Jesus in the span of 3-4 sentences. I'm talking about it right now, observationally. You know what I mean? And then we can dig into the nuance of these things. So this thing in your head, this consciousness, proves that God created us. Because it ain't going to happen on its own. Because if it could happen on its own, somebody would have reproduced that. Because most of these people with power want to be God. They are not. Because they cannot reproduce what God did. And then you see his people are very creative. And you'll hear over and over and over and over and over. Well, I was thinking about this or that, and it just popped in my head. Where I was learning how to back a semi-trailer into the dock, and then one day it just clicked, and now I can do it. That's favor. That's favor from God. That's why it just clicked. That's why we go through these trials and we suffer through these things, and then one day it just clicks. It's like, oh, and you have this aha light bulb moment. Every light bulb moment you've ever had, that's God. That's you've completed the course. You've strived through the pain. You stuck to your goal. You made that million light bulbs, and then one finally worked. They asked that guy, they said, well, what if this didn't work? He said, well, I wouldn't be here. I'd still be trying to make it work. It's that. It's that. You've had enough reps and sets with suffering that you refuse to not do something about it. And then in your striving, you're like, well, if I had a bigger tractor, I could farm more land. Then I'm going to need a truck to move the wheat. And then if I got the trailer, I could. This one's good for the field, but it can't use it on the road. And it's like, well, maybe I can hire somebody with a truck and trailer to take it to the market. Well, I got to hold this stuff somewhere. I need a silo. And it just goes on and on and on. It's like fixing a used car. It's like, well, while we got the manifold off, we might as well check the head gaskets. Check the head gaskets. Well, we might as well put some new main bearings in it. Next thing you know, I mean, you got a balanced, blueprinted engine. You're just going to change spark plugs. That's the way God is, man. Like, I just wanted to, see my son. Like, is this real? Where did he go? How could I get there? Hurt like a son bitch. I mean, hurt. Wounds like you would not want to ever endure. And then I'm reading this stuff about, Jesus. He came here and died for us and everything. And the whole time I'm reading it over and over, all 4 Gospels. And I'm feeling God's heart, because my son went to the doctor. My lady taking the doctor over nothing. They must have went to the ER 37 times in 6 months. I mean, they're like freaking hypochondriacs, you know what I mean? And every little old thing. And then, one day he's acting like, oh, my stomach hurts. Next day he's like, oh, I'll be like, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about Walmart. Because I let him ride his bicycle. We'd walk down the dirt road in Pryor, Oklahoma to go to Walmart. We'd go in there and just play with all the toys. All of them. For hours. And walk back home. Didn't cost nothing. And we'd always get one Hot Wheel. Maybe a snack. I don't know. Depending on the day. Well, whatever was going on. I asked him about one day. I said, what are you thinking about? He goes, I'm thinking about Walmart. You can just see him just sitting there thinking, Another time he did it, he's like, thinking about going to the creek. Yeah, let's go to the creek. Shit, let's go down there. See if we can catch a crawdad. Or whatever, And then, I just wake up. They're like, it's her mom, and she's like, they life flighted Dylan. And dude, I swear to God, I thought, man, they really bloated out of proportion this time. That's really what I thought. And, get the baby together and everything, get the minivan, that whole deal, drive over there. And they're like, you need to come in here and say goodbye. What? And I'm just like, I don't even know what the fuck to do, dude. I'm just shocked. Then I watched the doctor kill him. And I'm like, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, boys. I'm telling you right now. It's everywhere you don't want to be. And then, here I am, after the fact, reading the Bible. And yeah, Jesus died for us or whatever else like that, but God let him do it. God watched him die for all of us. The Creator become flesh. When? But he's omnipresent too, so he's still the dad looking down over the death. So I'm reading this with this different set of eyes. And, bro, I don't know where you're at in your dedication to read the Bible, or do right, or go yonder and help somebody, or whatever else like that. But they're saying, well, I'm going to make more money so I can do more. And there's a lot of different things. And I ain't down in nobody's ministry at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think the stupidest shit I ever heard was somebody making fun of a different denomination. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're the foot and this guy's the freaking elbow. Why are you guys making fun of each other? Like, I can hold up the whole body, and the elbow's like, yeah, but, at least I'm out here in the fresh air. Or some bullshit. You know what I mean? The whole church is the bride of Christ. Everybody's just talking all crazy about God's wife. And I'm just like, bro. You're the elder of this outfit? And you're, cracking jokes and stuff like that or whatever? I mean, is this for edification? Or are you making fun of folks? You know what I mean? Because I'm all for shaming. Shame and humiliation and all that kind of shit. Used properly, it's great. It's a godly thing. Used improperly, it's a horrible evil. But it has its place. It has its time and place. Don't think it don't. You know what I mean? I go just browbeat a bunch of queers till they kill themselves. I want to talk to him and be like, I'm concerned with your salvation. You know? The way you're living ain't right, and you need to get right. And I could talk to a habitual liar and say, man, I'm concerned about your salvation. You know, just, the flavor of the sin doesn't matter to me. Every bit of it will send you straight to hell. And you got to repent. You got to. You know what I mean? Like that's your part. You know, you gotta bear your cross daily, and that's what that is. You know what I mean? The Bible says, you know, a man shouldn't lay down with another man. If that's your thing, then you have to just not do that the rest of your life. That's just the way it is. Are you a liar? Do you lie on your taxes? Well, the Bible says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God's. Pay your taxes. You know? For the rest of your life. You gotta quit cheating on taxes and just pay your taxes. You know, I mean, whatever. It don't matter what it is. Knock that shit off. Knock it off. Well, I try to, but it's hard. Yes, it is. Hey, you know what's beautiful about that? When you do hard stuff, you grow. And as you grow into Christ likeness, you know what's going to happen to you? You're going to act Christ-like. And they persecuted the prophets. They persecuted Jesus. Jesus said, if they persecuted me and killed the prophets that came before, what do you think they're going to do to you? So you might as well just get used to that. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just get used to that. Prison, torture, cut your head off, all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, sign me up. Ain't scared. I'm not going to egg it on. You know, I'm going to trust that God's got my back. And I'm going to do the best I can to walk appropriately. So, you know, somewhere in the middle of, like, you know, kick Donald Trump in the nuts in front of the Secret Service? Probably not. Be like, yo, Don, can I talk to you about salvation? You know what I mean? Like, approach him properly. No, don't just run up there and kick him in the nuts. They're gonna shoot you, dude. That's what the Secret Service is there for. You know, maybe, you know, schedule an appointment or whatever. You know what I mean? Go about this thing appropriately. You know, and Paul, one of the things Paul did, which is just, you know, 4D chess, I guess is the way to say it in the 2026, for people to understand what I'm trying to convey. God's plan for Paul was to be shipwrecked and imprisoned and all this stuff, and to get moved around here and there and here and there and here and there. And in the process of that, because he's locked up, he had to write letters and all sorts of stuff. Now those letters, we have some of that. And they call that the New Testament. You know, John was on the island of Patmos. And that's where we got the book of Revelation. So don't think that it's impossible for God to create a miracle to get you through, or be with you as you endure these difficulties, whatever they may be, whatever. I don't know if I'm going to be king of the world or scum at the bottom of the barrel, and that's not for me to know. Because if I do this big grandiose thing of being pond scum at the bottom of the barrel, Or if I knew I was going to be king of the world, that would alter my behavior. You know what I mean? So the propaganda and all that stuff, that's there to alter your behavior. And when I read the Bible, that's to alter my behavior. I'm to mature into Christ likeness. So I can, be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. That's kind of the goal. That's kind of what we're shooting for. And then we're called upon to act in a manner that is being a soldier or whatever. If that's required of me, I should be ready to do that as well. And I gotta be the man of the house and protect my family. That a lot of that protection is logically ruling over the house as a protector, as a servant leader. I'm serving my wife and kids. I'm serving my elders. I'm serving my community. I'm serving the congregation. I'm serving my country with this. Being out here, handed this, here you go, read this. That's the way it works. That's the plan. What's the plan, Skip? Read the book that explains to you what God's will is. Learn to talk to God for yourself, and then do what He says. But what if it's hard? But what if they kill me? Yes. 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 So what? The whole earth burns up, bro. If you read in that book just a little bit longer, you'll realize everything on the earth burns up. Eventually. It don't matter. Are you setting your family up to live in a society full of Bible reading, obedient humans? Great. That's a great lineage. Anything less than that is less than that. And when I mean less than that, it can be sadistic, evil, violent perverts, and the whole world look like Noah's. Yeah. Oh man, I can feel bile rising up. Just even get close to saying it. I don't even want to say it. But even then, we see that Jesus, Yeshua, He said, I will give them the sign of Jonah. Well, there was a lot of signs, and one of them was that Jonah was bad, and another sign was God explained to him that He loved those people. And they got way out of line, but they repented and got back to do right. And Jonah was bad. Jonah was bad about it. Well, I didn't want to tell him because I knew you'd forgive him. He valued his life over shade. He would rather be dead than suffer some heat. And he got that far because of this stirred up anger that was living, this bitterness was inside of Jonah. Okay? So when you're looking at this stuff that they put out there, like why? Okay, if Satan sends the beast, which is the government, with Roth IRA, or Rothschild's Bank, whatever. The devil sends the beast with Roth because he knows the time is short. Okay, so he wants to uproot your love and backfill it with bitter root. Instead of crying out for the victim of the Epstein files, everybody says, let's get a torch and pitchfork and go deal with these people that were the perpetrators. You know? And that's natural. And, you know, I fall in that camp too. I'm like wood chipper, all of them. But I'm not bitter about it at all. At all. I think it's sad because they were God's kids too. All of them. The victim and the perpetrator. It's God's will that none should perish. But, you know, woe unto those that harm these little ones. You know what I mean? So if I got to cut your head off because you're a rabid dog, well, bro, you had it coming. You know what I mean? You know what you did. You know what you did. You can repent and save your eternal soul. That's an option. I don't know if that's going to keep you out of jail, but from the time you get locked up till you die, you can live right with God. That's fact business. You can't spend the rest of your days living righteously and make it to the promised land, regardless of what sin you did. And that's just the way it is. There's a lot of people that are bitter, evil people because they dealt with these evil people, you know, and it's something else. It's something else. But I do know this. I died one time, and then when I woke up, I couldn't remember nothing. But I knew everything about the Bible. It was great. And I know what it's like to not know your name. Or, you know, like, do you got warrants for your arrest? And stuff like that. They standing there looking at your wife, don't recognize her at all. Been there, done that. Healed up from it. And I'm telling you right now, freedom. I didn't remember being mad about nothing. When the Bible says that he wipes away every tear, buddy, I'm telling you right now, he can wipe away every tear. He can. He cast your sin as far as the east is from the west and remembers it no more. Come back to your Father. And if you ain't God, well, you know, if you're not God, what does that mean? We have a judicial system for a reason. And we should have righteous judges. And whatever that verdict comes down, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And for me, if the situation's dealt with appropriately, hey, that's dealt with. Cool. I don't have to do nothing. If it's not dealt with appropriately, yeah. You can think from this point forward of me realizing this, Jesus himself is the only thing that's holding my hand back. That's it. That's it. It ain't no scared of jail. It ain't no, self-preservation that's left the chat completely. Completely. If I'm aware of a situation, I will deal with that situation. And yeah. And if God tells me look the other way, I'm looking the other way. If he says, wood chipper, I have 4 wood chippers. I'm a get her done kind of guy, you know what I mean? Like, whatever he says. But I ain't going to know I'm supposed to do something and not do it. Because that's a greater sin. Hey, the reason why that's a greater sin is not only is the perpetrator allowed to perpetrate, but you are going to be so bitter about that you're going to fly off the handle and do something wrong. You're going to step out of line one way, even if it's just like you're irritable to your family 5 years later. You got to go back and apologize. Oh, sorry about that. I know you just dropped the ice cream in the carpet. It's not that big a deal, and the dog already cleaned it up, so no big deal. But I shouted GD or whatever. You know what I mean? I had this outburst with my loved ones because I'm off work and I'm chill and everything like that. And then just one more thing, the last straw, you just got on my last nerve, whatever, and I lash out because all them years ago didn't take care of old Slick when I knew I should have. And we all make mistakes or whatever else like that. I did look at that, 13 other Slicks that for sure, it's like, well, where are those guys? They're not perpetrating. I guarantee it. So, I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I'll be honest with you, man, I'd lose zero sleep over that. Zero bitterness or any of that. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't no more. I literally have more concern with pouring my piss bottle out because some of it splashes on the truck. For real, like, not even a thing. Not a thimble full. Does this crowd know what a thimble is? It's kind of so-so, whether you guys know. Catching the drift. Anyway, you just got to do what you got to do, and just walk in obedience. That's how you know. That's how you know. And I'm telling you, there's reading a book, there's having feelings, and then there's having a conversation with God, talking to Him, hearing what He says, conveying what He has told you to the situation appropriately. There's that. And apparently a lot of people don't have that, because when you bring up that reality, people question your sanity. Because I remember one time, I'll tell this story, I'll get off here. I was in jail up there at Veneta, Oklahoma. And this old guy coming in, he's about 72. Kind of German, squared off jaw type of guy. Tall, lanky, real trim. He come in there, he preached, man, pastor or something. And he come in there, we was talking and everything. And we was talking about hearing from God. And he was obviously come in there because one of the other pastors had been up there quite a bit. I'd been there for, I don't know, a couple of months, 3 months, something like that. And the locals started coming around. And I talked with them, talked to them. And asked them, like, how are you doing, Pastor? I don't know how many times I've heard a pastor say, I come in here to cheer you up, bro, and like, you're pastoring to me. I'm like, well, yeah, that's my job. Anyway, so this guy's like, talking about hearing from God. And I was like, man, you know how you're driving, listening to the FM radio, and you get out of town, you get a little further, a little further, a little further, and it starts getting squawky, and then you lose signal. Yes, there's distance from the tower, from the source. You know what I mean? And then there's sometimes you're just 1 or 2 numbers off. You want to listen to 97.5, but you're on like 97.7. And you got a little bleed over coming from a different one or something like that. Or, the channel you want to hear, you're thinking it's 97.5 KMOD, but you wind up hearing something, coming out of Kansas or whatever, and because Veneta's right there, you can kind of hear a little bit of Missouri, Kansas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. So your proximity is a thing, and then dialing it in. And the radio station has to be broadcasting. You can't overlook that. Do you think that the Creator actually wants to tell you something? But there's two times you'll see stuff. One, emergency, right? And then two is extremely intimate. Extremely intimate. You know what I mean? I'm just pursuing God daily. You know what I mean? Trying to save his kids, emergency. And then there's like, when nobody's looking, and like, freaking trying to sneak around and hide. Just open that Bible and read it. Catch 5 minutes here and there. All it, just, when you was a kid, you sneaking around smoking cigarettes or drinking beer. You're just sneaking over there. You're just like, okay, well, yeah, I don't drive a semi-truck right now, but, see if we can get in a little steady. See if we can reach somebody. But I determined this for my own sake, that I should not come to you in sorrow again. 2 Corinthians chapter 2. You know what I mean? Am I just sneaking it in? I mean, how much you got riding on it? How much you got riding on this deal? You know what I mean? I just went up an incline around the corner. Corner had an overpass going 70 miles an hour with the light in my face, reading a book to you guys, making a YouTube video about how much are you pursuing God. You can do more. What are you willing to risk? Life, limb, job. You know what I'm saying? Do you give till it hurts? Do you have reckless abandon in pursuit of God himself? Do you know what it feels like for your kid to die? God watched Jesus die, and he wants you to go explain that to everyone so that they don't burn in hell. Okay? Be a good kid and get it done. Now go play. I want you to think about the women talking down to me because they have kids. And they're like, we're God's kids, man. Have that childlike faith. Like, dude, I'm having fun doing this. I'm having sadness doing this. It's all that then some. You know what I mean? It's all that then some. And he's worthy to be praised. So very worthy to be praised. And the more that you do for him, the better off you'll be. Because I think since I've been making this video, I have passed every taco shop that I could have stopped at and gorged myself on freaking eggs mexicana. Which the eggs mexicana is just pico de gallo and eggs cooked together. So it's cooked in there, but it ain't hot because the jalapeno's cooked. But they got fresh pico de gallo. You put that on there to heat it back up. And it is fantastic. With that tortilla, the homemade tortilla, you're looking at, I think just the tortilla's got to be about 1,200 calories. Just the piece of bread, regardless of what else you put on it. And then they'll take that spatula and just smear some refried beans on there, and then just throw some cheese on there, and for like $1. You know what I mean? So the bean and cheese burrito, if you ever eat a real one, bro, you'll figure out why McKinney, Texas has the fattest people in America per capita. I mean, you will swell up like a pumpkin. You look like a pumpkin with legs. You'll be walking around like a freaking pear if you live down here. Talk about temptation. Anyways, see, I'm sitting here, I put God first. So He's helping me keep my diet. You know, I was tempted. You know, Jesus was tempted in every way. To be tempted is not sin. You know what I mean? You see that thing walking through there with that cleavage and all the right shapes or whatever like that? When you sit there and ponder and think and yada yada whatever, it'll grow into sin. You know, and then sin will grow into death. So when you see that thing or whatever it's like that, you know, just be like, you know, turn your head. Now for me, it's real easy to like turn down women. Because like, well, I'm just going to tell you this story. I shouldn't tell this. I was about 7, 8 years old. We was in Albuquerque, Amarillo, Texas. Dad goes into CB shop. I'm on the radio just talking crazy. And you can hear these girls on there talking about you want to date or whatever. I'm like, don't do it. She's a cop or whatever. And I'm just messing around. And I didn't realize Dad, the other guy, was inside there where it was like that. And then I seen this one. This might have been 2 different days. Now that I think about it. Anyway, I see this girl. She gets out of this truck and she's scantily dressed, you know, mini skirt, showing her midriff, you know what I mean? And this was the early 80s. So it did look like what you'd think, like, you know, like nobody, there wasn't a big meth problem. And everybody was in shape back then. So, I mean, she was actually pretty and at a distance, and I don't see so good. So, anyway. She walks over, she squats down over this mud puddle and just splashes that up on her crotch or whatever. And she stands up and kind of, you know, does her thing and straightens out a little bit like that. And walked to the next truck and knocked on the door. The door opens up and she just gets right in there with the dude. And that truck goes to rocking around. And I was so disgusted. I was like, I'm trying not to throw up right now. Like, man. And then later, you look like, that's one of God's kids. You know what I mean? And then I look around and everything, and it's just like, the immediate is, whose ass do I kick first? And then when you realize it's everybody, it just breaks you down where you want to cry. And it's just like, you know, and then Jesus died to give him a chance. So I'm like, ma'am, well, how much does it cost for like 30 minutes of your time? And then, you know, like, I don't want to do nothing, but I want to read this with you. Can we read this together? I'll give you some money so that guy you're working for won't beat you up. Rent your heart. I mean, just break it out. Mourn. Pray with great travail. the Bible. So I'll give you this word of testimony right now. You personally can thank Jesus Christ for every breath you take from right now until you die. For sure. Guaranteed. Here we go. I recommend you start Revelation. Revelation chapter 1 and figure out whose children you're pimping out. See if you want to deal with him. But for sure, right now, until you die, every single breath, you can thank Jesus. Because Jesus is in my life, in your life. I don't know who's going to win this deal, but if it wasn't for Jesus, we would find out right now, guaranteed. Hey, there's been plenty of the 5-minute ministry that got that message. I've delivered that message on numerous occasions. In the hundreds for sure, but probably more than 1,000. I've been known to challenge a fella. Not so much these days. I'm old and fat now. Not so much these days. I'm laughing because I do it just as much now as I did when I was 18. I challenged one guy. You'll love this one. You probably heard this one before. I see these kids. It was my buddy's kids. They're like 18 or whatever, 20. They were down there. They were hiding behind the thing down there smoking weed. And when we were kids, that's where we smoked weed. That's how we knew where to go. So I'm standing down there. They're passing this water bong around smoking weed. And I'm telling them about Jesus and everything. And I was like, man, I'd sure like to hit that. They're like, what? I said, man, I would love to hit that. Let me see it. Let me hit it. Come on, man. Like, what? You're telling us, man? I said, so what, man? Let me hit it. He handed me that pipe, and I just smashed it on that little concrete deal. I said, yeah. I told you I wanted to hit it. And then I'm like, you guys are all weak. If somebody broke my pipe when I was 18, like, I wouldn't even say nothing. I'd just be on you. You know what I mean? And then I proceeded to tell them, a lot about Jesus and a lot about the real world and life, and then brought it back around to hell is a real place, and you need to get right before you wind up there. The barrier to entry is very low. Very low. One light, ever. Boom. Lake of fire. Or redemption. Again, the barrier is very low because it got paid for you. But then you got to stick to it, which is extremely expensive. Hey, you should be a Christian for a while before you get baptized. Let's go. Say a prayer one time, take a bath. I mean, I guess, kind of, but I think it's between you and God. When he tells you it's time, and don't delay. But if it ain't time yet, somebody's just talking you into it, you got some kind of high pressure sales tactic, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have baptized them kids that day. There's no way I would have baptized them. You know what I mean? Anyways. Yeah, it's something else, man. It's something else. Well, I guess I'll get off here. I'm sure that hour and 10 minutes is probably long enough for my 4th video today. I just get fired up, man. I just get fired up. I stay fired up. Full of piss and vinegar. If a man loses his saltiness, how would he be made salty again? He is good for nothing except to be thrown out and trampled by men. So get salty before you wind up good for nothing. Rock Hill. Go get it.